A sower went out to sow seeds in the field. Some seeds fell on rocky ground, and they were scorched. Other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns choked them. And some fell on good soil and produced grain. And Jesus taught them, saying, "If a man has 100 sheep, and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 in the mountains and go in search of the one that went astray? So it is not the will of my Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish." The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who, upon finding one pearl of great value, went and sold all that he had and bought it.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Good, well, good, wonderful. Love to hear it. Hey, my name is RD, and I'm one of the pastors here, and I will be the third person to wish everyone a happy Father's Day, and just what a joy to be a dad. And my three girls, which one of them was up this morning really early, of course, just happy Father's Day to me. And great, but just what a privilege and a joy, and also a happy first Father's Day in heaven to my dad. And I wish he was here. And of course, in a sense he is, but in another sense he's not. And so it is a hard day. And so if you're in that place, or you kind of come into the room with your dad, or wherever it is, there's both the joy on the one hand of how God provides, and also just the life that we live where there's grief and pain, and the Lord gives and he takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And so the passage we're looking at this morning is a couple passages, but as a dad, as a parent, a prayer that the title of the message is "Lord, help me," which is the prayer of a parent in this passage. And so we're gonna pick up where Greg kind of left off last week. He just spent a few minutes on this passage, and so I wanted to spend a few more minutes on it because it really connects to the next two things as well. So I hope it shows us a full picture this morning. So if you have the word with you, you can grab it. We'll be in Matthew chapter 15. Verses 21 through 39. We're going low tech this morning. I have no slides. There are no slides. So if you're like, how do I survive? I don't know, but people did for a long time. You're gonna be okay. You can also bring your Bible, and that's where you can look at the slides. They're in there. They're in there. So you can do that. But it's just such a long passage. I just didn't want to be clicking the whole time. And so we're going to go old school. So if you keep looking up there, nothing's coming. No one's coming. Nothing is coming. You just have to look down at this small text here. But it's always good I just love seeing people in the Word, looking at the Word where you can see it. So Matthew chapter 15, this is the faith of a Canaanite woman. The major part of the passage, and then we'll look at Jesus' healing and the feeding of the 4,000 as well this morning. So I'm going to read the passage, the first 7 verses of this section, and then we'll chat about it and proceed. Verse 21, and Jesus went away from there and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon, which is the northern part outside of Galilee. And behold, a Canaanite woman from the region came out and was crying, "Have mercy on me, O Lord of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, "Send her away, for she is crying out after us." He answered, "I was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered, "It is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, did even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table?" Then Jesus answered her, "O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire." And her daughter was healed instantly. So you see right there in the middle of it is the phrase, the three words, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. And so this, Jesus has traveled, as he traveled many places, but he spends most of his time around Galilee ministering to the people of Israel. He doesn't spend much time ministering to the Gentiles, but this is a moment where he goes up north to the region of Tyre and Sidon, not sure exactly where, because it's a large region. They're separated by multiple miles. And he's walking around there, and he has this encounter with a Canaanite woman. Mark notes that she's a Syrophoenician woman because the word Canaanite was no longer used at this time, right? It's the people of Canaan are the enemy of the people of Israel back in the day, but they're no longer called that. And so Matthew is being deliberate in using this title for her to conjure up these images of, hey, see how far away Jesus is from his people? This is a woman from the Canaanite. Right? That's how far. And so people reading this for the first time or hearing this story, right, in AD 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 are like, okay, Israel, Jesus a Jew, a woman of Canaan. Okay, this is a collision course. These are two things that should not go together, and yet that sounds perfect for Jesus, right? This is all he does, or bring things that should not be together, and he puts them together. So it's already just fraught. And of course, Jesus is walking with his disciples, and everything he's doing all the time is just dropping. We'll talk about breadcrumbs later, but he's just dropping breadcrumbs to them and just saying, hey, listen, do you understand? See what I'm doing. Watch what I am doing. And she comes to him and in this area, and she's crying out, have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon. And so here's a mom. She's a mom, and we don't know if she's married or not. This is one among many kids, but this is certainly maybe the child that has the most need because she is severely oppressed by a demon. And you can, maybe we can't really imagine it necessarily, but just the layers of disruption that would bring as a parent. If your child suffers in any way, how much as a parent do we suffer? Right? You're only doing as well as the kid that's struggling the most as a parent, right? That's how well you're doing. Whoever is hurting the most, that's where you are as a parent. And so this child is demon possessed, which of course, when you read through the ministry of Jesus, happens with a lot of people, this spiritual warfare reality, right? The principalities and the powers, that there is a Satan enemy. He invades people. And so as a mom, to see your daughter possessed by a demon, whatever that may mean, her personality has changed, right? Her physicality may change. This is not my daughter. And how desperate would you be as a parent to do anything to help your kid? You would do anything, right? Anything, absolutely anything. And so what I want to just, before we move into the teaching and the learnings and the lessons and the yada, yada, yada that I'm going to give, is just to stop first and be like, here's a mom who has a daughter who, for whatever reason, has become oppressed by a demon. And imagine her world and her life every single day. Now, she somehow, some way has heard about Jesus. And we know that because of the way that she addresses him. She uses the title Son of David, which is unusual since she's not a Jew, right? She's a Gentile. And yet somehow, some way, of course, the fame of Jesus is probably about 2 years in his ministry. So no doubt his fame has spread, but still, not everyone had heard about him. Not everyone knew who he was. And yet she has both heard about him and has a deep awareness of him. In fact, such an awareness that she knows, in a sense, I think she knows who she's going to see and what he can do for her. She knows. Even just what she's heard from people. Maybe there's some people who've been converted in Tyre and Sidon, this place that was the enemy of God's people, now becoming a place of budding salvation. So she's heard of him. And so imagine hearing about Jesus, the one who heals, the one who saves, the one who restores, and then having your daughter and hearing that Jesus, he's here, he's near. She's like, I'm going. I'm going. You're a woman. I'm going. You're not a Jew. I'm going. Your daughter's possessed by a demon. I'm going. Who's going to stop me? The disciples try. As usual, they're missing the mark. missing the mark. So 3 things I want to note just quickly about her is, number 1, her posture. Number 2, her prayer. Number 3, her faith. Verse 22, a Canaanite woman from the region came out somehow. I imagine like Jesus is just walking around and she's like comes from screen left and she just like Jesus, son of David, just yelling. Her daughter is with her or not, probably daughter's back at home. And so she's left her daughter at her home, and then come to find Jesus wherever he's traveling, seeing the crew with him, the disciples and Jesus are walking around. And she just says, have mercy on me, O Lord, my daughter is severely oppressed by, she's crying. So her posture, what is it? It's desperate. All right, she's hungry for something, for anything. I mean, she's not just kind of sitting back or just thinking maybe, maybe not, right? She is just this desperation. I mean, she's going out towards him, and it knows that she's crying out, have mercy on me, right? Just this posture of desperation, and this is always the posture that we need to approach Jesus with. This desperation is hunger. And we may not even know what he's gonna do for us or know even exactly what we need. I mean, she knows, but just this sense of, are we desperate for the work of God in our lives? Or are we just kind of like, if it happens, it happens. I know I need it, but I'm not desperate. I've got a lot of other things in my life that are supplying my needs. She's just like, this is my only hope. I mean, how am I as a woman in Tyre and Sidon gonna have anyone who's gonna help my daughter? No one is, save one man, if he's willing. So her posture is she's desperate. She's hungry. She's hopeful, I think, which is key. Her prayer, my goodness, what a prayer. Hey, let's do prayer 101 here. You want to do that together? Every time in church, when prayer comes up, it's like, I know I should do it more. I know I should, right? It becomes the, drive-by guilting of prayer, because we all know we should pray more. Can we all just admit we should pray more? Okay, great. Everyone, we've admitted it together, we should pray more. But if you want to start with, where do I begin, right? Jesus says, you don't have to talk a long time, right? These three words are so powerful. Lord, help me. So we'll keep going on in the passage, though. Verse 23 is so interesting, because Jesus does not answer her a word, which is interesting. He just keeps moving. He keeps going. Doesn't say anything to her, which I think is interesting. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, send her away, for she is crying out after us, right? They don't like the vibe. Don't like it, not about it. We're already away from our people, and then here, we knew this was gonna happen. You can imagine Peter being like, I knew a woman like this would come here. I knew it, they always come. Why are we here, right? And they just maybe they could, to their credit, maybe like, just heal her, give her the fix, do the thing, get her away from here. We've got business to do, we've got things to do, right? 2 years in, they're still just like, absolutely, just missing it. Again, hope for us, hope for you. Hope for all of us, right? Get her out of here. Could you imagine something more distant from the heart of Jesus and send her away? And yet people that have been close to him still they're struggling to understand how radical is his mercy. So he doesn't speak to her. And then what does he say though? He says, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Which of course is true. Jesus is primarily focused on the people of Israel. He is sent to them, right? Salvation coming through them and for them. That's where he spends the majority of his time, for the lost sheep of Israel, which is why God Jesus is so brokenhearted by the lack of faith of the leaders of the people of Israel, because they should know, they should understand. And yet so often it's those who don't have all the learning and the education and all of that. They don't know, they don't see. And yet these are the people that God has come to see. So you see, he's silent, and then he kind of is a little bit like, I'm only sent to the people of Israel, and you're not one of them. And you're like, oh, wow, okay. I think the disciples are like, that's right. You better believe it. I knew it. I knew there was that Jesus. There's my Jesus. There he is. Like, get her out of here, right? She's not one of us. And then she, though, what does she do? Does she stop? No. She came and knelt before him, saying, Lord, help me. Her prayer, Lord, help me. Simple, powerful, all you need. All right, she gets down on her knees in front of him. He's probably no doubt still walking as she's just like kind of yelling at him, the disciples, the bodyguards, just like, keep moving. And she just finally says, okay, I got to right down in front of him and maybe touch him, maybe grabs his leg and just like, Lord, help me. And I no doubt she, as a parent, you can understand that she means for her, she means it for her daughter, she means it for her life, right? It is multiple ways in which it's like, as a parent, you're thinking, I don't know what to do, help me, help me. Help my daughter, help me. I'm desperate. This is all that I have. You're not gonna maybe answer me. I know you're sent to the house of Israel. I kind of get that, but what about me? Help me. Literally, God help me. Please help me, please help me. And then we see though her faith through that simple prayer. And here Jesus kind of, we have to unpack this a little bit because it's a little delicate, okay? But I think that there is some good stuff here. Verse 26, Jesus kind of continues a little bit on this path, and he answered, he said, it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Just like, what have you done with my Jesus? Where is he? This is not how he speaks. He's quiet, he's dismissive. Is he calling her a dog? Well, in a way, but in another way, I think he's doing something deeper. He's doing some teaching. He's doing some work. And then I love, she responds. This could be called the wit of the Canaanite woman, not just her faith. Look what she says. She says, yes, Lord, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. Woo! I like her. She is not backing down, right? So here's what I think is happening. We see her faith here, right? It is persistent. It is contending faith. It's passionate. I think Jesus is working on a couple levels here. One, the word for dog here. So we can all admit there's an edge to it. I'm not going to pretend there's not an edge to it. There is an edge to it, but it is far less than if you're just reading this at face value. The Greek word that Matthew translates here for dog has this sense of little dog, almost like a puppy. Now, still not the greatest thing to be called, but it doesn't have he doesn't use the word for like a ferocious animal, like a wild dog. That's not the word that he uses. And he's using a family metaphor. He says, you know how it works, like at the family dinner table, the kids eat, and then the puppies get to eat the crumbs. And now we have had a puppy now for 4 months, 5 months now, right? Don't regret it at all. Don't regret it at all, babe. No, not at all. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not after the first 2 months. Right, he's seeking missile. I mean, absolutely. Like you drop something and you're like, can he eat that? Grab it. You know, you just never know. You feel like dogs can't eat anything but dog food. Not why we're here. Okay. And so it has this sense of, there was a derogatory term. It was not this term, but the idea that Jews called Gentiles dogs, right, is this. And what I think Jesus is doing is in front of the disciples is he's using a lower down version of that word. As they're listening in, again, they're thinking, that's right. That's right. Puppy, not the strongest, but it'll do. It'll do. It will take it. We'll take it, right? This is it. This is it, right? And what he's going to do is he's saying, I'm very aware of what people call you. I'm very aware of how it works. Now, salvation is offered to the Jews first. And then the crumbs come later. And I think what can't be captured here is tone. And I have a sense that Jesus, you've heard me say there's an edge, but I also think that there is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheekness, which is why she responds the way that she does. I imagine it's something like this, where he says, you know how it works. The kids eat first, and then the dogs eat, right? And then she says, yes, Lord, but even the dogs, right, get to eat the crumbs from the master's table, right? And I can imagine a smile on his face. And what does he say? He says, oh, woman, great is your faith. Be it done to you as you desire. And her daughter was healed instantly. So he's working at a couple levels there. He's saying to his disciples, and he's saying to all the people that call the Gentiles dogs, he's saying, look at this woman who's now become a follower of me. She understands. She gets it. I love her faith. She's just like, I'll take the crumbs. I'll take them. Even dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. Lord, so what she senses is there's an opening. Crumbs count. Steal the bread. Right? All you need is just a breadcrumb of Jesus. That's enough. Right? It is enough. And she just has this faith where she's like, so why not me? Why not my family? I know I'm not a daughter of Israel. I'm a daughter of Canaan. But why not me? Why can't I be a daughter of God? Why not me? Why not my daughter? Why not? Says who? Why not? I mean, what faith is that? What faith, what persistence, contending faith. Just like, in a sense, I'm not leaving until you bless me. I'm not leaving. Maybe she knows that story. I just think, what faith? God, I want faith like that as a parent for my kids. I want to stand in front of Jesus and say, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. Her posture is desperate. Her prayer is simple, Lord, help me. Her faith is persistent. And more than that, the way Matthew places her is she's an example of what it looks like to follow Jesus. The disciples say, send her away. She says, Lord, help me. And he answers, right? I mean, by his presence, he's there. Right, he just, quote unquote, happens to go to Tyre and Sidon, of course. He knows what he's doing. He by his power, I mean, the daughter doesn't have to be there. She's healed instantly. Healed. Can you imagine when she went home and saw her daughter running out to see her in her right mind? God, I would have loved to follow her story. Meet her one day. He answers by his presence, by his power, and by his purpose. Here's the deal. He was sent to the house of Israel. He was also sent to the nations, which is why you're here. That's why I'm here. We're all Gentiles, right? And yet we're grafted in. Amazing. Matthew builds on this. So much more there, but we got to keep moving. Oh my goodness. We got to keep moving on this posture of Lord help me with the next two accounts here, which are these are just amazing. This is just who Jesus is. Verses 29 through 31. I'll just read it here. Jesus went on from there and walked beside the Sea of Galilee, and he went up on the mountain and sat down there. And great crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others. God, they're just bringing everybody who's hurting. And they put them at his feet, and he healed them, so that the crowd wondered when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled healthy, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they glorified the God of Israel. Now, this, no doubt, is Jesus has gone probably to the east side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Gentile side. And so he just keeps turning up the knob on who's in and who's out intentionally. And there are a couple reasons that we know it's on the east side versus the west side of the Sea of Galilee. And one is that after all of this happens, is that the people glorified the God of Israel. Now, if it's a miracle among the Jews, you don't have to specify what God it is because there's only one. But if it's a miracle among the Gentiles who have many gods, then you have to, which God actually healed you? Which God actually did the miracles? The God of Israel did. I love the first verse here. Jesus went on from there and walked by the Sea of Galilee. Here's the Son of God walking by the sea he made. Just walking. There he is. He's just walking by the Sea of Galilee. In enemy territory, if you will, from some people's opinions. And great crowds are there. This is the same crowd that is the feeding crowd. So there's probably 10 to 15,000 people that are amassed in front of him. He's on the mountain, more like a hill probably. 10 to 15,000 people. And what did it say? Great crowds came to him. And so friends are like the woman, the Canaanite woman, have heard that Jesus has come to the west side, their side, right? And they've heard about it. And the friends have gathered up their friends, their family members, the crippled, the mute, the blind, anybody. And they're like, Jesus is coming to town. He's here. He's coming, right? And so, it just spreads like wildfire in that oral culture. Everyone hears. And so 15,000 people descend upon Jesus. He's trying to get away a little bit, a little R&R. And then there's person after person, right? The Lord help me. What do? They put them at his feet. And what does he do? Ask them what they believe? No, he heals them. Now, does he care what they believe? Of course he does. And what are they going to believe? In the God of Israel. Can you imagine hundreds of people just coming down before Jesus, and just with all of the infirmities and all the pain, and he just with his hands and with his heart and with his power, he's just healing and healing and healing. And so that the crowd wondered, I bet they did. They'd heard about miracles like this among the Jewish people. But now what about us? Even us. When they, can we even, I'd love for us to, why not see this happen here? Mute speaking, crippled healthy, lame walking, blind seeing. Sounds like a picture of the world to come. A little preview to the remix. a little trailer, a little teaser of what's to come, right? Amen? God will do this for every single person. He will. He just did it for 3 days right here. And they glorified the God of Israel because the message of Jesus and the ministry of Jesus is always meant to lead to the magnification of Jesus, to the glory of Jesus. That's the goal. It all ends in glory. Right? The God of Israel. The people they're not just saying, hey, he is great, though he is. They're glorifying the God. This is what God is like. This is our God. This is him. He heals them all. Amazing. Sometimes when I think, if you want 2 verses, 29 through 31, 3 verses that just talk about who Jesus is, pick these. He's a healer. Now, we'll keep going. The feeding of the 4,000. Now this, just so we know, this is different from the feeding of the 5,000. Are we on the same page? The feeding of the 5,000 was for the Jews. The feeding of the 4,000 is the Gentiles, right? Right? All right, that's just true. Verse 32. Then Jesus called his disciples to him. So the disciples are there. They're always there. They're probably wondering, like, okay, now what? Now what is the lesson? And I love this. God, I have compassion on the crowd because they've been with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I'm unwilling to send them away hungry lest they faint on the way. How kind. What a man. And good night. And the disciples said, remember, the feeding of the 5,000 has already happened. Okay. And the disciples said to him, where are we to get enough bread in such a desolate place to feed so great a crowd? Okay, Jesus must be like, I can't, I don't know. This, I prayed for all of them. I'm concerned about every one of them, honestly. We're gonna build it on these knuckleheads. We're gonna build the whole thing on them. There's gotta be those moments, right? It's just like, where on earth have we been in an exact moment like this? Where we've had no fish or bread and there've been people and there's how, like in the last 6 months, I wish that Matthew would have added a little bit of more but he didn't. That's for maybe one day to ask. Did you want to write other things? I know you did. I would have. And Jesus said to them, how many loaves do you have? They said 7 and a few small fish. Okay. All right. They're like, you can imagine 7 and then we've got some minnows. Nothing. We have nothing. We have minnows. It's basically not even anything. We can't feed all these people. And directing the crowd to sit down on the ground, he took the 7 loaves and the fish. Having given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples. And the disciples gave them to the crowds, and they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 7 baskets full of broken pieces left over. Those who ate were 4,000 besides the women and children, so hence 10 to 15,000. After sending the crowds away, he got on the boat and went to the region of Magadan. So many things here. Just a couple things I want to point out. So Jesus has been healing people in verses 29 through 31. This is the same, no doubt more people have come over the next 3 days. He's been then with all of these people by the Sea of Galilee for 3 days, just lingering, just with them. The ministry of his presence. Just 3 days, just hanging out. Can you imagine just hearing the stories of the people, the pain of the people, the disagreements of the people, right? All the things of the people. I just love, he's there. How accessible is he? How open is he? He's with them for 3 days. He's not like, he is on a mountain, but it's a hill that they're with him on. And he is just how exhausting would that be? And yet his heart is just, let me hear another story. Let me hear your pain. Let me heal. Let me listen. Let me be who I am to you. I love that, right? There's such a power in our presence, is there not? In lingering. In lingering. I love his compassion. He says, I have compassion on the crowd because they've been with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat. I'm unwilling to send them away hungry. So eventually, they went through all the food there. All the snack bags were gone and they're hungry, but they don't want to leave. Would you want to leave? You think if we leave, he's going to get on the boat and go. Can't leave. More to heal, more to listen, more. It's him. It is him. He's doing these amazing things among us. They do not want to leave. And the disciples, though, are just, they're trying to they're not understanding. Verse 33, you see it. You see where they say, where are we to get enough bread, so amount of bread, in such a desolate place? So they remind Jesus how desolate it is, in case he doesn't know, to feed so great a crowd. So we don't have enough bread. We're in the middle of nowhere, and there's a lot of people. Jesus is like, this is not a problem for me. This is perfect. Game on, not a problem. And yet, I think there are two things happening for the disciples. Number one is amnesia and forgetfulness. It is. And we all do it. We all forget, right? There's spiritual warfare going on. It is hard to remember the things that we have forgotten more of God's blessings than we can even believe in our life. How many times he has blessed us, how faithful he has been to us, how kind he has been to us. We forget, right? And we only look at right now. We only look at what he hasn't done the way we want it to be. And we forget all of his provision, his presence. We just forget, just like them. They're like, how are we gonna make this happen? Where are we gonna find the fish? And the question is not where are we gonna find the fish, it's looking to him and say, God, how are you gonna provide? How are you gonna make a way? How are you gonna open up this in a way that we couldn't imagine? Right? That's what it is. I can imagine the woman of Canaan coming up and saying, you dogs, how do you not understand? What can he not do? Look, he's gonna multiply these things. He's gonna make these things happen. Man. And there's also, I think, probably some prejudice where they just think we kind of understand it around our people, right? The people of Israel. But you're just gonna indiscriminately feed all of these people, the Gentile people. Jesus is like, actually, you're gonna feed them. Right? He multiplies the fish and he gives each basket to the disciples and he makes them feed them. In the feeding of the 5,000, he flat out just says, you feed them. And they're like, what is the mess? What is the point, right? And can you imagine every time they're laying these baskets down of fish and loaves, right? These kind of like these Hebrew Happy Meals. They lay down in front of all the people. And you just see this is what the church is. This is what the people of God is. We feed people, we heal people, we help people so they would glorify the God of Israel. Right? He's always teaching. He's always instructing them. He says, you didn't believe. And here, I give thanks to God, my Father. Here is the multiplication of the fish and the loaves. Again, you go feed them out of the abundance of my heart. The disciples have a scarcity model. God's not gonna come through. Jesus has an abundance model. God always comes through. He always comes through. It may not be how we think or how we want, but he will, he does. She said, that's the faith we wanna build on. More faith like that. Right? What qualifies you? Again, that you're hungry. These people are literally hungry. But there's also a deeper hunger that they have, and I know Jesus wants the disciples to have that hunger, and it grows, and they get there, and they get there. I love the verse 37, and I want to have a whole message on this one day, and they took up 7 baskets full of broken pieces left over. More than enough. Seven baskets filled with broken pieces. More than enough. 15,000 people, more than enough. 7 baskets left. No big deal. So the posture of our hearts to Jesus, I hope, and this is for me, and I hope for all of us, is to be people that continue to grow in our desperation and our hunger for him. Are you hungry for Jesus? Do you desire him? Are you thirsty? Do you long for him to do more in your life? Right? Or are you filled up with other things so that this hunger for Jesus is one among about 20 things that you're hungry for? The woman of Canaan just is this amazing woman who swings open the door of salvation for the Gentiles by her faith. Jesus goes on a healing rampage among the Gentiles after her. Right? She's the hinge. Her faith. Right? She's a model as a parent. Her faith, her posture, on my knees in front of the king, right? Just crying out. Are you hungry like that? Are you desperate like that? We can all grow in that. We can all grow in that, right? We all have things that we're oppressed by. All have things that grab us. And the answer is just go back to his heart. Our plea is this: Lord, help me. Lord, help me. I don't know how to. I mean, the more I'm a parent, the more I'm a pastor, I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a clue. You think the more you get, the more you're like, now I know. And there's some healthy growing and things that you are hopefully getting better at. But the more it's just like, God, the more I learn about God, I'm like, I didn't even know that. I don't know how to raise 3 girls. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. Just Lord, help me. Lord, help me. Do you think he wants to help you? Maybe part for some of us is believing that he wants to help you. He desires to help you. Lord, help me. Maybe you just started at the very basic level. That's all I even know how to pray. Lord, help me, because I'm lost. Our faith, it's built miracle by miracle. And more than that, it's built by seeing the miracles and by seeing how God has provided, right? By pushing through the Red Sea and remembering, look what God did. God is able. God is able. He's able to do these things. Look how he has provided. He will provide again. So his posture, though, this is more important. So our posture, okay, yeah, desperate. Lord, help me. Our faith, built by seeing the miracles that God's done in our life and knowing his character, what he's gonna do. But even more important is, what is the posture of Jesus towards us? He's with us. He's with us. God, I'm reading this passage, I'm thinking, God, what I wouldn't give to just be able to bring some people at our church, who are struggling with all kinds of things to the feet of Jesus, and just be like, just heal, right? We want to see healing. We want to see fire fall. We want to see these things happen. We want the nearness, and yet just through the power of Jesus and the Holy Spirit living in us, he is more present here in this room. And he still longs to you. He is with us. He is here. He is compassionate. He is providing. His answer is, I will help. I will help. I will help. I will help you. I will help you. I will help you. I will help you. What is his plea? Take and eat. Take and eat. Right? The ultimate meal. This is what Jesus says. Take and eat. My body, my blood. Not the scraps of bread. You get to eat the bread of life. Not the scraps from the table. You get to have a seat at the ultimate family table where you get to feast on me and drink the new wine of my body forever. All of us do, right? All of us are unqualified. All of us are like the woman of Canaan. All of us have in our own ability, we should not have a seat at the table, but God in his mercy has given us one because he wants us there. He wants you there. He wants you there. And so his plea is, take and eat, come to me. Come. I want to give you more. There's more for you here than you even know. Come and eat, take and eat. That is my plea. And his faith is really his faithfulness. His faithfulness. He will do it. Now or in the world to come, he will do it. Every prayer is answered one way or the other. It is. He will do it. The Canaanite's woman's love for her daughter pales in comparison to God the Father's love for his kids. What will he not do for them? She disrupts the procession of disciples. He sends his son to a cross. That you would know. That you would know. What a picture of the hope that we have. Last thing, I'll say this just because it's helpful for me, even on Father's Day, as I think about my dad and the world to come. What a picture these teachings are of Jesus, and what in part now, so many of us who know people that have passed on, they're enjoying now. So number one, the woman of Canaan. And now, right, one day there'll be a table that all of us get to eat at together and have a feast. And the people we've lost and the things we've lost, we'll get to touch them and feel them and be there with them because of Christ. How amazing. The invitation is open for you. The healings, right? One day in the world to come, there are no infirmities. There's no cancer. There's no COVID. There's no pain. There's no brokenness. There's no diseases. There's no need for hospitals. In the world to come, God heals all things. and we get to sit together, seeing, savoring, walking without limps. The feeding. Not just, of course, good food, of course, but Jesus himself. And there's more than enough. In the next section in Matthew 16, the Sadducees and the Pharisees come out, and the first thing they say is, "Give us a sign." And if I were Jesus, okay, so go with me for a sec, I would say, go look in the boat. Right, there's 7 baskets left. Lord, help me. Help me to believe. Let me pray. Our Father, I thank you for just your heart, that you're near, that you're accessible, that through your Son we see who you are, and that you desire to just feed and heal and save and restore. That is your heart, and we see it here. Father, would you help the posture of our hearts to be ones that are desperate, that are on bended knee before you with our plea, Lord, help me. With our faith being built as you answer that prayer and as we come to you again and again, knowing that you hear us, you listen to us, you're doing things in our lives now. Lord, and one day, just as the people by the Sea of Galilee got to see a picture of the new heaven, new earth, one day we'll get to see it as well. Give us eyes to see it, Lord. Lord, help me. Help us as a church to come before you and say, we'll take the crumbs. We'll take the crumbs, Lord, if you're willing. In the name of Jesus we pray. All God's people said.